Are you guys looking for a boost in the bedroom? Hims is here to help with personalized ED treatment options, and it's all online. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/Yannis. That's YANNIS. That's Hims, HIMS.com/Yannis. YANNIS for your personalized ED treatment options. Hims.com/Yannis. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products, which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Yannis Pappas. Yeah. When you all tucked up in the day been long, and the news online going on and on, what's right and wrong, and there's something up. Now here comes a great kid you know you can trust. From the true who's who to the news and cameras, to the fake politics and the propaganda. Get this kid screwed in, got a lot to say. Oh shit, it's about to be a long day. It's a long day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Yannis Pappas Hour, not brought to you by Disney or Duke University. I'm just rooting for Duke in the March Madness festivities because how could you not root for a white boy who plays like that? I mean, how could you not? Not because he's white or anything, just because he's white. And I've never seen anyone play like that who's white, who dunks like that. He's like, you know, they're making comparisons to Scottie Pippen and just black players. There's never been a white player who's been compared to black players. It's always Steve Nash reminds you of John Stockton, or this guy, Dirk Nowitzki, reminds you of Larry Bird. You've never had a guy named Cooper Kupp. First of all, his name's Cooper, and he's from Maine. So it's just the novelty of it. I think even black people are going like, this is crazy. He plays like a brother. You know, the brothers always respect people who do things like the brothers. It always impresses them. This is the Eminem of basketball. He doesn't play like a brother. I mean, like a whitey. White chocolate. But the thing is, white chocolate, was he white really? You know, he talked more black than his best friend, who was black. We covered that on the show. Cooper, his name's Cooper. Cooper Flag. And he plays like a African-American gentleman. So it's just fun to watch. How can you not root for Duke? How can you not root for something like this? Dude, I'm telling you, let me say it again. We're living in strange times. Great white cornerback. Best running back is white. Best dunker is white. And now the best college recruit is white but plays black. I mean, and the best quarterbacks are black. I mean, it just shows you that we're all one. Stereotypes are just only mostly true. That's really what it is. People should just say stereotypes are mostly true. Instead of stereotypes are not true, which is a lie, they should say stereotypes, the best we can do is mostly true. Meaning there's some parts of it that aren't true, but they're still mostly true because we're only talking about one guy who's white who had comparisons to black players. So mostly true. Mostly the white players play white and mostly the black players play black. You take that however you want, but those stereotypes are not as true as they used to be. And one day they may not be. There'll be new stereotypes. But stereotypes don't fall from the sky. And neither does classified information into a journalist's hands. It doesn't fall out of the sky. Somehow you receive it. And me and Jesse have figured out because we got a mole in the chat. Or it was a staffer, some anonymous staffer. Or it was a far left conspiracy, just like the far right conspiracy against one of the best mayors in America that until recently was unbeknownst to me. I can't pronounce her name. How can you pronounce it? Ding dong. What is it? What's the name and how do you pronounce it? Can you give me some help here? Shang Tao. No, what's the real name? Tao? Her name is Tao. Shang Ta. Shang Ta. She was the mayor of Oakland. And surprisingly, if you didn't know by the name, she was an Asian lady. I assume Chinese. And she got caught with her fingers in the peanut butter. What is it? In the jar, in the cookie jar. She got caught with her fingers in the gluten-free, no cheese, no alcohol. She got her fingers caught in the rice jar. She got her fingers caught in the rice jar. She was taking a couple of pellets of rice that didn't belong to her. And it's a fun, fascinating story. And her speech is very fun because she says it's a far-right wing conspiracy to get her, even though it was local FBI chapters. And they're, it's California, baby. I don't know what kind of far-right conspiracy reaches Oakland. But the Republicans don't poll so well in Oakland. Also, Oakland, not doing great. So that's a problem. That's why people were upset with Mayor Tao, because it ain't doing so great. So they hit the streets and they say, restore law and order. And Tao's going, what? I got elected so I could get some no-show money and scratch your back, scratch mine, pay for play, baby. But here's the deal, Jesse. Is that not local politics? Is everyone not doing that? Like, who pays for these attack ads, right? So now you got a little insight into who pays for these attack ads against the opposition. Maybe it's people who say, hey, I'll float you $70K for these attack ads on your political opponents if you float me a renewal of my government contract on owning the recycle business in Oakland. No big deal. Isn't that just American business? I don't understand. What's wrong with that? What's wrong? How's she going to pay for the attack ads other than that? She's not going to be able to pay for it collecting cans.
Duck.
It's not enough cans to get to 77. You only get that joke if you live in a major city with a Chinese population. If you're listening to this from I don't know, Maine. By the way, Maine. I was in Maine. Very liberal place. You know what I didn't see? Any minorities. It's very weird. It's the whitest place I've ever been to and the most liberal place I've ever been to, which is very odd. Ironic, I should say. Anyway, she's a fun chick. Maybe we'll play her speech, but you get the gist. She's up there going, this far right-wing conspiracy, whatever. But anyway, it's not been good for her. All right? She got indicted, and who cares what's going on from that point in. I think they recalled her. Did they recall her? Is she still there? Who cares what's happening in Oakland? Here's the deal. Nobody cares about Oakland. They only care about San Francisco, and they barely care about San Francisco anymore because Silicon Valley is holding on by a very thin thread. They're all going to move. They're all probably, half of them have moved. How many of them moved? Maybe not half. 30%, 20%, 15%? Enough have moved. But San Francisco is still doing fine. But nobody cares about Oakland. Okay? It's like, saying like the mayor of Maspeth, Long Island. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about Oakland. But it's a fun story. So these things don't fall from the sky. That money for her hit campaign on her mayoral candidate, the opponent, her mayoral candidate opponent, didn't fall from the sky. Secret military secrets that end up in a journalist's hands don't fall from the sky. This issue, as you would expect, has fallen pretty hard along party lines, but me and Jesse did our due diligence as DAs. We're basically DAs building a case, and we're waiting for our evidence. And we looked through the evidence. We sifted through everything to find first-hand accounts and straight out of the horse's mouth accounts. And what we have gathered is Mr. Waltz, what's his name?
Waltz.
Mr. Waltz, who is the NSA director. Am I right?
Close enough.
Close enough. He's the guy that he created the chat on a encrypted messaging app, much like WhatsApp. It's called Signal. Previous administrations had used it. Trump and Biden administrations had been using this. Sometimes sensitive information has been used, has been divulged on this site before, but it was never caught. But people were using it. And in this case, we had a a very, what I like to call the podcast and editorial crew that's taken power. These are people who've been lobbying for themselves hard on news programs and podcasts, which are basically news programs now, and have gotten into the public eye that way, which is how you become somebody now. You got to go on programs and you got to have strong opinions and charisma and make the case for it yourself. Tulsi Gabbard, we all know her with her Elvira streak and her Hawaiian looks. I think she's from Hawaii, right? So she's got chi or whatever. What's their thing down there? Hoo-ha. Oh. She's got hoo-ha or oho. She's got the spirit of Hawaii with her. And she's a CIA director. So this is top level people, right? Jesse played devil's advocate for me, with me, and we're just going to give you what we found as the facts. CIA director, vice president of the United States, and your boy, national security advisor, Mike Waltz, who is responsible for this leak. And then you got the big boy, Hegseth, right? And everyone knows about Hegseth. He's the guy. He's the Homeland. He's the Defense Secretary, Hegseth. So these are top brass. This is the top. This is like, this is like getting in a chat. No comparison. Just the crew, right? It would be like Kennedy's brain trust, they called it, right? Or his brain thing, whatever. McNamara, all those guys. It would be like Himmler and Goering. No comparison to the politics or the worldview. Just the top. It's as high as you can get without having Trump in the room. And these guys are on a group text like we have for History Hyenas, throwing emojis around, having a good time. And they're having a good time like millennial. It's kind of a millennial group chat, dog. And I think they are kind of millennial-ish, right? Like they're pretty young. J.D. Vance is a millennial.
Yeah, he's a millennial for sure.
Tulsi, I think, is a millennial, my friend. Yeah. Hegseth, maybe late 40s. I think we're talking like
elder
millennials, maybe borderline, like
right in the middle there.
Yeah, I think they're having a millennial group chat. They grew up on group chats. So they're in there. They're in there in a group chat. They're having fun. They're throwing emojis around, American flags, fist bumps. But instead of dropping slurs like most people do in their group chat and having fun, throwing memes, close-ups of people's faces, and talking shit, dropping articles, sending secret police videos that cops shouldn't be sending me.
Hegseth is 44, by the way.
Yeah, sometimes you just get a group chat with cops and you just get the videos that, I'm not desensitized to those videos that you think are funny. So sometimes I press play and then I have trauma. And these guys just think it's funny because they see so many of them. You know what group chats are for? Group chats are for talking shit and yelling slurs. You go to anyone's group chat, we're all going to prison, right? Everyone is for free speech till you see people's group chats and you're going like, whoa. And that's what people should be filtering their stuff into is their group chats. Apple has a huge responsibility. Apple, and they're the company that I think does it best. They protect your shit the best. So we think. Depends on how many of those Chinese microchips are in there. We may all be fucked. We may all be on Epstein's Island and not know about it. You don't have to bang an underage girl or bang a spy or be caught in a homosexual relationship in a motel that was set up by some sort of, CIA or Mossad or, I don't know, KGB or whatever the fuck plant to be honeypotted and blackmailed. You just need someone's group chat. That's all you need. And you're going to see horrible things in everyone's group chat. And in this case, they're having a pretty good time about attack plans on Yummies. So Hegseth shared operational details about the strikes. So it was really coming from him. Weather is favorable, just confirmed. With SETCOM, we are a go for mission launch. Now, if you're a journalist who's accidentally been added to this thing, let's just defend the journalist here. right? Because he's getting attacked. They're calling him a loser. They're calling the Atlantic a rag. A rag. What do you want a journalist to do in this situation? A journalist's job is to let the American people know that their leaders are sharing this type of information on an unsecure app, which they're not supposed to be doing. They're not supposed to be sharing these details on Signal. This has been admitted by Tulsi Gabbard. She said it was a mistake. So this is what we sifted through. Tulsi Gabbard has admitted it was a mistake and it shouldn't have happened. That's as far as she got. But none of them are admitting that it was classified. Now, the journalist did, it seems, the moral thing. Well, depends on how you look at it. He was added, and of course, you can just imagine what his apartment, because he's a journalist, so I'm sure he only can afford an apartment. None of them are really wealthy anymore. They're like actors. It's like a job per job thing. Who knows, though? He's the head of the Atlantic, so maybe he does okay. So I don't know. Maybe he's in his townhouse in Georgetown. And a lot of these journalists come from family money, right? I'll be a journalist, whatever. Get me into Columbia, whatever. And his name is Goldberg, which we knew, but I'm just saying, can we link him to the murder of JFK? You know, we all got Grok. We all got ChatGPT. We've all hit Grok and ChatGPT and said what was released in the new thing. There's no, okay, Israel was a little upset with JFK because he wanted to inspect their nuclear sites. I don't think that that's enough for them to want to murder the guy. But apparently for a lot of people on X, it's enough. It's enough because I think they're mentioned 2 or 3 times in 80,000 pages. So that's enough. But there is no evidence Israel had anything to do with the assassination. But there is a lot of evidence that the mafia and the CIA were having a little marriage, you know, trying to assassinate Castro. They went a little rogue. They weren't really responsible to anybody. And then, of course, as you know, the Kennedys were very hard on the mafia, and they were maybe failing Bay of Pigs. What was the other one? Mongoose. So you had a lot of people who wanted Kennedy dead within the government. You know, you're talking about, this was during the Cold War, Red Scare. They're going, this guy's soft on communism. He's failing. He's not getting Castro out. And you got these mafia interests that want Castro out. You got these politicians that want Castro out. And here is JFK failing. The assassination attempts that he was a part of with the CIA failed. Bay of Pigs failed. You know, he's negotiating, back channeling, which maybe saved the world with Khrushchev. And maybe these hawks, these Cold War hawks are going, let's get this Catholic fucking philanderer out of here. We don't like him anyway because he's Catholic. He's fucking everyone's wife. And he's failing on the things we care about. But definitely the mafia was involved. You're an idiot if you think there was one shooter. And definitely the CIA was involved. And that's just what it is. It's just what it is. You don't need the smoking guns. The smoking guns are the 50 witnesses that fucking heard the grassy knoll shot or saw somebody moving over there and his fucking head being shot that way. Okay? It's like watching Building 7 come down. It's a sushi restaurant. It smells like fish. I don't care what you say. I'm not a moron. I can't infer past that, but I'm saying don't insult people's intelligence to that level. Okay? You can make them believe a lot of stupid shit. Like the ShamWow is the greatest thing in the world. But we're not going to watch a fucking building that wasn't hit by a plane fall at free fall speed and say that's not fishy when a BBC reporter fucking reported it was down 20 minutes before it went down. Okay? We're not fucking stupid. We're retarded, but we're not stupid. So, you know, I do not think the Israelis who were just, you know, forming a country, whatever, and wanted the nukes, I don't think that's enough of a reason for them to want to whack Kennedy. I just don't think so. The rumor comes from Jack Ruby saying, I did this for my people. And so people think he might have meant the Jews. Oh. But he also said the man in office now, which referred to Johnson. There's no evidence Johnson was involved, although Johnson hated Kennedy and probably might have been like, okay. He might have known. He might have been like, I'm okay with it. It is in Dallas, his home state. He did tell Kennedy we need to campaign there. I say he was probably at least knew about it.
He had a lot to gain.
Yeah, the CIA also knew about it. They were watching Oswald like crazy. They knew, and who knows? Were they watching Oswald because he was working for them? Yeah, probably. Was he a patsy? Yeah, probably, but he's probably involved. You don't need definite answers to know what happened there. The CIA and the old guard and the mafia wanted him gone. Castro wanted him dead, whatever. One of these people killed him, but it wasn't some fucking guy named Oswald alone. We know that. All right, so that's that. End of story. Kaputski. So that's where they go, ooh, that. So they hang on to Ruby saying that. But what he probably meant was my people. He probably meant his fucking crew. He ran with the underworld. He was a nightclub owner, you know? Giancana and them were his people. He was connected to the mob. But it could have meant the Jews. I don't know. And Goldberg could be working for Mossad. I don't know. These fucking Jews are tricky, dog. They get into everything. Anyhowsers, so Hegseth goes off in the chat and goes wild, and they all have a good time, and they fist bump, and they go, so here's the story. Let me get back to the apartment, because that's where we got swayed. The apartment or the townhouse in Georgetown of Goldberg. He's going, he opens his signal thing, and he sees Tulsi, right? She's probably got a cartoon face with like a, she's probably got, I would say she's more of an emoji girl. Like she doesn't put a real photo of herself. I think it's just her or her and Rogan. I think it's a picture of her and Rogan in her profile photo. It's just her and Rogan right there, right? And then you got Hegseth, and his picture's just like American flag. He's got one of those, maybe something like that. Flag, eagle, it's that. And then you got J.D. Vance. He's there, and he's probably, his wife's Indian. I don't know. J.D. Vance. He's just probably smiling. He just looks like a gay guy who had low self-esteem, who was fat, who lost a lot of weight. That's what he looks like to me. You know those guys who are in the closet gay and they're like overweight because they're in the closet gay and they come and they're like, what's up? It's my wife. And you're like, just stop eating your feelings. Come out. Just suck. Get some consensual dick in your mouth. And stop putting fucking hot dogs in there and put the beef that you want and the weight will drop. That's the vibe he gives me. So he's probably there just smiling. Because he's probably just smiling. It looks like he's wearing eyeliner, which he might. I wouldn't be surprised if it came out that, he also has that talk like that West Virginia. You got to remember, this kid is from an inbred area. So there's no way he's got an Indian wife. He's got something's cooking with his internet history. Porn. It's not simple. I think he dabbles in guys. I think there's a couple raisins in his oatmeal of imagination. It's a speculation. Sue me. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I don't know. And so it's them and then this guy Walls, who was a former Green Beret and Florida guy. So, this guy's got he's got season tickets to Bert Kreischer's tour. I think he travels with them and just goes. He's a Florida kid. So he's one of those Florida, he pronounces it Florida. And he calls all Spanish Mexicans. He's one of those, He'll say amigo once in a while. Like he likes the Spanish culture, but doesn't. Enjoys Miami, but is very conservative. Hot Latinas. He likes that. So he's in there. And you can imagine when Jeffrey Goldblum, he just sees these emojis and he goes to his wife. Because it's crazy that he's in it. So he, subconsciously, he knows he can talk because they can hear him because it's an app. But it's one of those things where you mouth because it's so crazy. You just think someone may be hearing you. You ever been in that situation where there are no group around that you want to say a slur about, but you still whisper it? You know the situation I'm talking about? Where there's nobody around, but you still go, these Chinese people. You still whisper it. He probably went, and then he went and he showed it to her. And he went, shh, even though it didn't matter. And he was just like, and he didn't sleep. He was just looking at that thing. He was just looking at it. He was like disbelief, like I can't believe this, right? And she's like, I got to text someone. She's like, don't tell. And he's like, just fucking hold. As a journalist, you're sitting on gold, especially someone who hates these guys. I mean, me and Jesse are going, how did he get added? This feels like a setup. It feels like the Biden administration maybe got in there and we're like, we're going to give you a loophole. If these guys get in, we're going to put you in. That's what we thought until Waltz admitted that he added him, which means Waltz has his number somewhere or something, which means Waltz might be a fucking mole and secretly hate Hegseth and want Hegseth's job and maybe thought that Goldberg was going to just fry Hegseth, but he fried everybody. But that doesn't make sense because he's hurting himself. Too big of a risk. Or maybe he got betrayed by the Jews. He made a deal with the Jews. And they said, we're just going to fry Hegseth and then you'll take his job. I don't know. We tried every conspiracy. None of them work because Tulsi admitted it and Waltz is admitting it. So we listen. So what could possibly be? It sounds like Waltz is admitting this was his fault. And what he did was he blamed it on some anonymous staffer who added this loser. Now he's calling him a loser and they're all attacking him. But I want to ask the American people on both sides of the aisle, take the Atlantic out of it and what you think about the Atlantic. What's a journalist supposed to do in this situation? He's a journalist, so I guess fuck on you for adding him. This is what journalists do. They got to report to the American people what these people are doing for our benefit to let us know that perhaps service members' lives are in danger or whatever plans are being compromised because I know these plans and I could have called my Yemeni friends, you know? So what he did... So, okay, he stayed in there. He didn't tell them, which would have been the moral thing to do. So I'm not going to say he was totally moral, but he's a journalist. So he wants to wait around and see how incompetent these millennials are, right? So he doesn't say anything on the chat. They also don't notice that there's just a random number added. And that's what Walt said. He said, when you see numbers, remember he gave that interview and he's like, who's he talking to? Laura Ingraham? And he's like, you just see numbers. You don't look at who's in the chat. Like, yeah, I think you want to look who's in the chat when you're talking about fucking military strikes. I think you want to make sure that the number's 4, not 5. How many were in there? 4, right? You want to make sure there's not a 5th wingman in there. So he stays quiet. And then he says, then he's staying up all night. You know he's taking no dose and he doesn't want to miss a second. There's no way he fell asleep. He's watching that thing. He's screen grabbing like this. I mean, the kid is fucking screen grabbing. He is fucking screen grabbing. And then it happens and he goes, what the fuck? He goes, what the fuck? And he's just like this, screen grab. He's got her phone taking pictures of his phone just in case the screen grabs don't work. I mean, it's a mayhem over at that house. It's a mayhem. And then, according to him, he did the moral thing after the classified stuff, the military strike details were being shared. He says he did the right thing and he left, which really just means I got what I needed and then I need to sleep now, right? I got what I needed and I can't believe I got it. And then I guess he waits a while because these strikes happened a little bit, not too long ago. What was it, a couple weeks? I think it was a couple weeks. And he lets the people know, but he doesn't release the texts. He just says, this is what happened. It was military. Then Hegseth goes on the offensive and said, there's no classified information on there. This guy's a loser. He's a punk. He's whatever. Goes in the attack. So then he goes, all right, since they're all denying that there was military strike detailed, which should have been classified information on there, now I'm going to release them. The strikes happened. Nobody's in danger. So he does release them. And it does turn out that there's things you would think, if you don't know what classified information is or not, you would think at first glance is classified information. All right? There's details of the military strike that's about to happen. Right? He's saying the plan's set, F-18s launch, trigger-based F-15s, first strike window starts at this time. I mean, it can't get more classified than this, I don't think. The first strike starts at this time. Locations should be on time. Also, strike drones launch, whatever, F-18s, second strike package. So it's basically detailing strike drones on target. This is when the first bombs will definitely drop, pending earlier trigger-based targets. F-18 second strike starts. Also, first sea-based Tomahawks launched. By the way, that's a nice buffet of fucking That's a nice buffet. That's a nice selection of, whoa, oh, they're coming from everywhere. Yeah. So this was 2 hours before the scheduled start of the bombing of the Houthi positions. So if the information, particularly the exact times American aircrafts were taken off for Yemen, had fallen into the wrong hands in the crucial 2-hour period, American pilots and other American personnel could have been exposed to even greater danger than they ordinarily would be, according to Goldberg and Harris. Mike Waltz later texted to confirm that the target was in a building that collapsed and the strike was successful, the first target. So he stayed around a little longer. So Goldberg stayed around a little longer. Later in the day, Hegseth confirmed to the group that more strikes were coming. Great job. More strikes ongoing for hours tonight. And we'll provide full initial report tomorrow, but on time. He's just in his underwear laying in his bed. Just chilling, right? He could even have like a porn site open in a hotel. Just like, this is just a reality of the world, you know? Now, for everyone, for adults, for kids, you can't put anything. Nobody knows what privacy anymore is. Nobody knows with not trying to gotcha somebody with their paper trails. And everyone makes mistakes. And we have to deal with the internet. We just have to deal with it. It's kids. It's CIA directors. It's people just going too far, using the internet too much. I mean, this stuff should not be. What happened to like the boop, 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 boop? What happened to this shit? You know what I mean? Isn't it crazy to think it was more secure then when they were going, or, you know, ice cream, cabinet, pizza. You know, they spoke a whole code language. Tabletop, sand, cleared. Cleanup on beach, done. King Tut, dead. Sand sent to the beach in the sky. Stuff like that. Instead of, hey, this is exactly what it is, F-18, first strike hat. You know, you want a little funner. Like, hey, took the bitch's tits, put them in the bag. You know, American Pie, thumbs up, something like that. Guys, we are brought to you by Hims. As you know, Hims is the best for personalized ED treatment options. It's all online. No doctor's visits. That's what's great. You want to go to someone who knows what they're doing, right? If your car breaks down, you take it to a mechanic, right? That's how it works. So all men should think the exact same way about ED. But the reality is you might hesitate to seek help. Thankfully, through Hims, you can get access to personalized ED treatments without stepping outside your door. Life is stressful, and you got plenty to worry about without adding performance in the bedroom to the list, guys. So Hims provides access to treatments that can help you stay hard and last longer, giving you that boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. Hims is changing men's health care by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. There's a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints, Viagra, Cialis, and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. You heard that? So there you got it. So if you need this, this is the place to go. It's 100% online. No doctor's visits, like I said. Just answer a series of questions on their site. A medical provider will determine the right treatment options. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you for free. Start your online visit today at hims.com/Yannis. That's HIMS.com/Yannis for your personalized ED options. HIMS.com/Yannis. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. So, Gabbard told the House Intelligence Committee there were no sources, methods, locations, or war plans that were shared. That's not true. This was a standard update to the National Security Cabinet that was provided alongside updates that were given to foreign partners in the region. That part sounds like it's true. But to say that there were no sources, methods, that's not true. We saw F-18, Sea Attack, Times. So that's just not true. She also said Hegseth was ultimately responsible for deciding what in that conversation should or should not have been classified. So she passed the buck. Ultimately, the Secretary of Defense holds the authority to classify. She's going, hey, that's his, which it is, right? That's his. She's going, I do stuff like, hey, we have an asset, Middle East, is pretending to be a hooker. We got a gay guy who's an asset, who's banging this Al-Qaeda guy secretly, and he's going to bribe him later with pictures saying, I'm going to send this to your Yemen, your guy. I'm going to send them to your Houthi, whatever. I'm going to send them to your head Houthi, and he's going to know that you suck dick unless you tell me what kind of coffee he likes, so we can put some poison in his coffee instead of sugar. That's my thing. We murder people discreetly always. So she passed the buck to him. So you know that everyone's they know they fucked up. They're getting a little defensive. We did redact one place of information because we felt on our own that we felt it was best to do, and the CIA asked us. But you know, at a certain point, the administration is saying that there's nothing classified or secret or sensitive in these. So at a certain point, I just felt, let our readers decide for themselves, and that's when they decided to declassify, because these people were denying it. And maybe they were thinking he's not going to release it because it's classified and then he'll look like the asshole. But he said, you know what? I'm calling your bluff and I'm releasing it. I'm a reader. I saw it. Objectively, it does seem like classified information to me. But I am open to hear your rationalizations. I'm open to hear the rationalizations. I am open. I'm totally open to hear of, because the Atlantic has conceded these were not war plans. This entire story was another hoax written by Trump. Wait. Oh, this is great. The Atlantic has concocted, this is moments after the Atlantic published the text messages, the White House continued to push back to seek to discredit Goldberg's reporting through the National Security Council. Though the National Security Council has verified the authenticity of the text thread. So, typical Trump playbook, loser, asshole, fat, whatever, whatever, typical. The Atlantic has concocted these.
Conceded.
Oh, the Atlantic has conceded that these were not war plans. The entire story was another hoax written by a Trump hater who is well known for his sensationalist spin, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said in a post to social media. So that's what you call USDA grade A bullshit. And sometimes on both sides of the aisle, it never ceases to amaze me how direct the bullshit can be sometimes. I mean, dude, check the fucking stove because the gas is leaking. I mean, we just live in a constantly gaslit world. That is what you call just 100% clear as day bullshit and grass. Just sitting there, you're going, that was a bull, that shit. So that's that. That's the story. Goldberg criticized her response and said she's just playing some sort of weird semantic game. No, I think she's straightforward, just saying well, I guess that's the I went to private school way to deal with that, I guess. That's I went to Princeton or wherever he went. When I would just say, it would be great if he just talked the way Trump talks, which is what people like, and just said, oh, that's cool. That is 100% USDA approved shit from a bull. USDA approved. Something funny, going like something funny. Because it is bullshit. It's there's no way around the bullshit. CNN's military analyst, retired Colonel Cedric Layton, said the details have all the elements of a war plan. And what that means is all these elements mean that this stuff is classified, full stop. There's no question this is classified. So sometimes Fox stumbles upon shit that's true. Sometimes CNN gets a gift. Everyone got it. This is a gift for liberals. They got a nice gift showing the sort of carelessness and incompetence of the Rat Pack, the Whack Pack, the the top brass, the new crew, the podcast crew. So there you have it. That's the story about that. And you just got to be careful in your group chats. But Jesse, this is what Pete Hegseth says. So let's get this straight. Can you make it bigger? The Atlantic released the so-called war plans. Now, this is how you know Trump. He's like the Elvin. He's like the, like for a while, every comedian was doing a tell, Now everyone's kind of, all the young comics are doing Shane a little bit from what I hear. I'm not out in Austin. There comes along a guy, and then his influence, Steph Curry. You could tell that Trump is he's just the Steph Curry of the fucking internet game, of just how to say it. These things are happening, and Trump is just really upset about a portrait of himself in Colorado or something. Have you heard about that? It's just who he is. We got war, we got tariffs, we got people starving, getting hungry, worrying about jobs, worrying about their promises, and he's just like, what's going on with this picture of me? So now he's forcing them to redo it. It's just who he is. It's who he is. So Pete Hegseth, because I say this because, let's just say I'm saying this is what Trump said, okay? So Trump responds. Tell me if you can tell the difference between Pete Hegseth doing this or Trump. So let me get this straight. The Atlantic released the so-called quote-unquote war plans, and those quote-unquote plans include no names, no targets, no locations, no units, no routes, no sources, no methods, no classified information. Again, that is 100% USDA bullshit. Those are some really shitty war plans. That's exactly how you want the Secretary of Defense to be speaking. Shitty. Those are some real shitty war plans. God help us. This only proves one thing. Jeff Goldberg has never seen a war plan or a quote-unquote attack plan, as he now calls it. Not, and then period, not even close, period. Not great grammar. As I type this, my team and I are traveling to the, all caps, Indo-Pakistan region, meeting with commanders and parenthetical, the guys who make, and here it is, all caps, real war plans, and talking to troops. We will continue to do our job while the media does what it does best, peddle hoaxes. Crazy, dude. We're here. We're in this place where reality is just fucking up for grabs, because there's going to be tons of comments under here going, it's bullshit, you're right, fucking Petey, go get him. And then there's going to be a few going, just a few going, bullshit. It's predictable. But if you cut under all the partisan bullshit, you say, hey, this was a big fuck up, no matter who's in office. It shows carelessness and incompetence. That's all there is to it. It puts American lives at risk. Can you imagine if this happened to Hillary Clinton? This is much worse than the emails, by the way. And then there's people going to be like, what about fucking Benghazi? I get it. Benghazi was bad. I'm just talking about the emails and what was in the emails. This is just like, hey, this is what we're about to do in 2 hours. Let me text it. It is what it is. So I don't know what to tell you beyond everyone gets caught in the group chat, Everyone gets caught. Your wife's going to fucking look through your shit. Your girlfriend's going to look through your shit. Your husband's going to look through your shit. The Chinese are going to look through your shit. The government's going to look through your shit. 23andMe is going to sell your shit. Okay, they're going bankrupt, and they're going to sell your shit to collect whatever money they can. I don't know what people are going to do with your DNA. Like, nobody's going to clone you or come after you. I mean, who cares? People can get your DNA if they just follow you and get a Coke can. So whatever. But you can, there's articles like how to delete your 23andMe shit. So go and do that if you're concerned about it. But I don't know if that means anything. What, did they delete it? I mean, do they take the time now that they're going through bankruptcy? Are they going to care to go, this guy wants you, we got to honor this guy's request? I don't know. Maybe you have some legal backing if the Chinese get it and make you into a clone, or I don't know. What do you do with DNA that everyone's so concerned with? I just don't know. They get everyone's DNA, and there's only one person's DNA I want, and that's Sean King's. I want Sean King's DNA. I want it verified. Just for fun, you know? Otherwise, I think you're pretty safe. I don't think you got to worry about anyone having your DNA. Unless there's not something I'm seeing in the future that AI is going to do with your DNA.
I want to clone Dua Lipa.
Let's do that. Now, that begs an interesting question. In the future, will we be able to enslave clones? Like, they're not technically people. They weren't birthed. Right. Will there be a religious movement that enslaves clones for sex slavery, for labor? And then you have no expenses. You have no expenses for your company. So then maybe that'll help capitalism because you don't have to increasingly keep upping prices because you got slaves working for you. And you just got to be able to afford their bare sustenance and keep them and just know that they were born as clone slaves. That will make for a cool plot. And then they, you know, sort of like Planet of the Apes, like, we realize we're conscious. And then they rise up. But at that point, I don't know if they'll be able to because, like you said, everyone will clone sex slave of Dua Lipa. So, you know, and then that'll be funny because the Dua Lipas won't be able to unite because they'll fucking, you know, they just like will hate each other and it'll be weird. An army, I'm not scared of an army of Dua Lipas. I'll just fuck them all one by one. But very interesting points. We don't know what the future holds. AI may be able to solve God exists with, like, you know, its intelligence and be able to make the logical argument that's cogent with mathematical basis and be like, yeah, there's got to be a creator for this reason. And we're like, oh, fuck. We don't know what's going to happen. They may be able to start creating other robots. Who the fuck knows? It's up for grabs. So that's what it is. That's what it is. And technology is just going to get you in trouble. And that's why it's important to watch Adolescence on Netflix. Now, Adolescence on Netflix is a very disturbing show. But I don't think there's moments where a piece of art kind of captures a thing that's happening that everyone sort of suspects and knows, but is not really paying attention to in the way they should be paying attention to it. Like, for example, we were talking to our intern at the Hyena studio, and she's got to be like 20 or 21. And we brought up Adolescence, and she hadn't seen it yet. And she told us this story. She had some video go viral. She was live streaming something, and she got overwhelmed because her video like stayed up. Travis Scott concert or some shit. Some talk that I don't even want to know. I'm too old to even understand. His stream went down, so her stream became the stream that everyone was watching or something. And then she got so overwhelmed with followers. She went from like 1,700 followers to like 70,000 followers, and she just had to get offline because her DMs, she just felt scared. It was like instant fucking celebrity. First of all, I should have told her, like, wait a day, and it'll be forgotten. But this is overstimulation to the point that the developing brain is not used to, where you're just like, you know, you can't be constantly scrolling like and getting these hits from this information, these videos you're watching, like short doses, and then just be balanced when you get off. It's very bad. And the mix of the developing brain with the anonymity, and humans are doing what humans do, but now they're doing it online where you can't see it. And that's the thing. Adults can't regulate it. And I think that is the point of Adolescence. The whole backstory and subtext, not subtext, but the backstory of the show and what's implied is that this kid was sitting in his room, you know, living in this world that the parents can't regulate and have access to. Teachers don't have access to. Nobody knows about it. There's a detach. What is it? A detach. What's the word I'm looking for? There's a detachment. There's a disconnect. There's a disconnect between generations. We didn't grow up with this. We don't know what the impact is. I know a little bit because I'm a comedian, and I just see a lot of adults acting like kids, and they're like, fuck you, you suck. You're like, how old are you, dog? Where's your family? Where's your job? What are you doing? You're online? masquerading behind a fake account, just fucking. I mean, what are you doing? But that's what these kids are doing to each other, and they're kids. And usually kids would tease, but it's a smaller group. It's not anonymous. There's not a pile-on. It's not public. It doesn't go around the world where people share your tits. So in this show, right, a picture of the girl's tits gets out, and fucking, and then this guy likes this girl, and this kid guy, they're 13 years old, and another thing is the way they were like banging already and like talking like adults already, because they're exposed to all these adults that they shouldn't be, all this adult entertainment and news and stuff they shouldn't be exposed to. Their brains are being overstimulated with things they shouldn't be exposed to that they can't understand yet. But the internet is just exposing them to it. So they're talking like adults, they're interacting like adults. And even in the details of the show where the therapist is, so what do you feel about women? And you forget, like, oh, this kid's 13, but he's talking like an adult. You're going, like, the internet is forcing these kids to grow up so fucking fast. And then a tragedy happens because of a pile-on, and a bullying happens of him, and he's sensitive because she says, he's an incel or whatever, and it's this 80%. Like, I guess I didn't know about this as much as I now know, that these kids there's this theory, which unfortunately happens to be a little true. So you remember the shooter in California who was the son of the movie producer? Right, he was an incel. So he was probably part of these. They find each other on the internet, just like all losers find each other. The internet is a place for, oh, we like this thing. And so incels, there's this theory that 80% of the women like 20% of the men. Mostly true, unfortunately. Unfortunately, it's mostly true. But these kids have resigned themselves to the fact, instead of like bettering themselves and going to the gym and being like, fuck it, because it's only true to a certain point. You could turn yourself into someone valuable by working out, being cool, I don't know, dyeing your hair purple, like figure it out, right? I don't know. So they resign themselves to it, and then they have this anger towards women because women are into 20% and these 20% are douchebags and they're being ignored or whatever. And then you got the Andrew Tate factor, which this show does a good thing about, like, fuck these hoes, these bitches, fuck these bitches, which he is. He's just like, you got this pressure on these kids. You got to be a fucking Don, fucking no feelings. These bitches, make them hold your pocket kind of shit. So these kids, we absorb it and we laugh about it because we're not 12. But can you imagine when we were 12? Look at the way we were dressing. Do you not think Andrew Tate would have influenced us? I was influenced by everything else. At one point, I put cuts in my eyebrows and had a fade and wore baggy Tommy Hilfigers. You're 12. You don't know who you are. You just want to fit in. And if everyone's going, this fucking Andrew Tate guy's so cool, get your Bugatti, get your Bugatti, get your Bugatti. And he's like whipping girls, and they're watching the videos. They're seeing videos that we couldn't, there was no possibility of us seeing that stuff. There was no possibility of us seeing a murder video. It was not possible. The only thing was Faces of Death. Dude, here's the thing. Do you remember unhealthy it was? How unhealthy and how bad we knew we were being when we got Faces of Death, and how disturbing. You can just fucking go and search that now. No problem. You can go find and watch a cop or someone just being murdered on CCTV. They're just everywhere fucking going in these kids' brains. And we were talking to this girl, and she's like, yeah, suicide was like a massive problem at my school. Do you remember? And she's like, it's just kind of a normal thing now. And dude, we had none of that. I don't remember one suicidal kid. I don't remember anyone like committing suicide. Can you remember one suicide?
Not till we got older.
Not till like older or like college, at least.
Yeah.
Not in fucking grade school.
We just had a bunch of losers getting locked up and doing stupid shit like that.
Yeah, that type of thing. So this really shined a light on that. And it's funny because it kind of just ties in with the group text thing. Like, this technology has a power over people. And I just don't know these kids, if they have any fun. Like, what's it like to be a 21-year-old now, right? Like, so when I was coming up as a comedian, yes, there are some dudes, very few, I think, that are like really bad. I just think it's a few, and most people are just normal, right? So there are a couple of predator dudes who ruin it. that nobody knew about, that were abusing things, and the internet has done a good job of exposing a few of those people. But what has also happened with that is I'm sure they're all fucking petrified of like, is this person going to talk about me? What's this girl or guy going to say online? What, is this person a stable person? If I have sex with this person, are they going to say this happened? Like, it's crazy. Because all you need is to go, it's a good time to not be 15 or 20. It's just a good time. It's a good time not to be famous. It's a good time for nobody to care about you. It's really good for that. Otherwise, you got to fucking anyone can say anything. And you just got to be like, and then once you go like, it didn't happen. They're like, I did it now. Why are you getting defensive? You're like, dude, like, look at Jay-Z. We talked about this. It's nuts. It's a nuts time for kids. The pressure that they have, Dude, some of the stuff that was done when we were kids, which was like normal, fun kid behavior. What the fuck? I look back and I go, dude, would I be in prison for that? Now, I remember it's a joke between me and an old ex of mine. But at one point, she wanted me to come all the way uptown, right? She wasn't putting out. I had hung out with her like 20 times, right? And I just said to her, she goes, come up the way uptown. You have to understand, that's an hour and a half drive on the train, ride on the train by myself at night. It's not safe at night. It's an hour and a half drive. She's telling me to come over her house. And I go, all right, I've done this 20 times. So I'm just going to ask you straight up. In my generation, this was just an honest question. I'll come up if you promise you're going to give me a blowjob at least. But if I had said that now, screen grab, out of context, we laugh about that now because we're of a generation that's different, right? I was well within my fucking right to ask that question. I was well within my right to ask that question after fucking 20 times. It's like, look, you're asking me to do all this. I will do it if I know I'm going to get cleaned. Like a cat.
What'd she say?
She got mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got mad. And I didn't go because she didn't answer the question. I was just at a point that I thought we needed a little transparency and honesty. This wasn't like the first or second time. I'm not that type of guy. It's like, look, I've done your part. I've done what you wanted. Hung out all these times. This girl ended up becoming my girlfriend for 8 years. But it was, this was during the courting process. And I was like, all right. What do I get when I get up there? It's a very easy question. If I'm in a job interview and going, okay, what are the amenities? I'm going to work for you for 8 hours, but what are the amenities? But now that if I texted that, forget it. Oh my God, forget it. Predator. Fucking, sexual misconduct, which is another word that you're like, well, that's a huge thing. Abuse. It's another huge thing that could fall. And again, I think usually when these things come out about people, a lot of times they're true because especially if it's like 10 or 20 women, it's like something's in the area. I don't know if it's illegal, but they're paying a douchebag tax, I guess. But I don't know. Can people not be assholes anymore? What's wrong with being an asshole? So the real danger, I think, of the internet is that people find each other and then egg on their dysfunctions. It's a place where a loser cannot feel like a loser because then there's more of them and everyone feels better in a group. And then you can pile on the object of what you're jealous of or what you hate. And that's what this show is about. That's essentially what the show is about. And that's the real danger of the internet. I do believe there is a danger, yes. I do believe you shouldn't have an app that allows 20,000 people secretly to join. I do think that is a way for Nazis to find each other and a way for fucking terrorists to find. Yes. I don't think there's a book group that goes up to 20,000. I just don't know. These are questions we're all answering now. And so this show, it's like, this will be a moment. People will talk about this show because I think that it's number one on Netflix now. It's like tripling all the numbers because I think parents are watching this going, what the fuck is my kid on? What the fuck is Snapchat? Is this shit happening? And then when you talk to a kid, they're all going to say yes. They're all going to say, yeah, it's happening because it is. It's happening everywhere. And our brains are not developed to deal with this thing at such a young age. So Fight the power. Join my cult. We're going to get offline. We're moving to a desert in California. Yes, bring your wife and your girlfriend. Yes, I will purify her in the spirit of the Lord with my penis. We will be anti-internet. Back to the land. It's called Back to the Land via my prick. Come join my cult. We'll do seances. It's all about radical acceptance and Buddhist principles and obviously banging your wife. It's a big part of it. Want to give a shout out to forthefree.art, music in Hawaii, local artists. They post free shows. If you're going to Hawaii or you're a music lover, check out forthefree.art, my friends. Also, Nate Linder, my good friend Nate Linder at natelinder.com. Social media managing at its finest will help you rank number one on Google and profit from digital advertising. He shows real results to real businesses. He's partnered with PCB Tech Art. He's partnered with me in the past, which is true. And he's crushing it with e-commerce, B2B companies, and construction companies. So check out natelinder.com. He's good at, and you need that. You need a guy like that. They know the shit. Rebels-Raiders. Any update on this? Still the same copy. But the gear is there, right? So go get the gear. Check out rebels-raiders.com. Check out what he's got there. Quality tactical gear that's affordable. And he pays himself less to keep it affordable. This guy's great. And he's got goat shirts and backpacks and all types of stuff that'll help you survive the apocalypse. Rebels-Raiders.com. Also, Suds Auto Spa. Love Suds Auto Spa in Bridgeville, south of Pittsburgh, 412-564-5033. Check them out on the grand info at sudsautospa.com or at suds_auto_spa. So info at sudsautospa.com if you want to email or call them there. They will longevity services for your car, ceramic coatings, paint protection, car capsule units, stuff like that. And they will travel. The bigger the job, the farther they will travel. And PCB Tech Art. Go there. Get yourself the Power Nest. It's great. Support them. Everyone needs to put their phone somewhere in the car, right? Your car shouldn't play hide and seek with your car's charger. The Power Sphere is awesome. I bought one. Get them at PCB Tech Art or the Power Sphere. Make your car smell good. Also, they'll make shit for you. They made this, right? They'll bring your ideas to fruition. Hit them up. PCBTechArt.com. Yannis 10 for 10% off. So check them out. PCB Tech Art.